Good morning to everyone. In this subject of manufacturing technology, we are talking about metal casting. And in metal casting, so far we have discussed about the pattern, types of pattern, the material that we use as a pattern. Then we talked about pattern allowances. Then we talk about sand, molding sand, types of molding sand, property of the molding sand. Then we talked about the mold making process. And in last few lectures, we are talking about the gating system. The gating system has 5 components: pouring basin, sprue, runner, gate, and riser. And in gate, we have seen different types of gate like parting line gate, top gate, bottom gate, and side gates. As well as in a riser, we have seen different kinds of riser like uh, open riser, blind riser, then hot riser and cold riser. Okay, so these are the some of the topic that what we have so far covered in this chapter. Today we are going to classify some of the casting process which is used, and also we are going to discuss in detail about that various casting process. So that casting process is generally classified as listed over here, like sand mold casting, cell mold casting, plaster mold casting, metallic mold casting. In that one, we have a permanent mold casting, slush casting, pressure casting. Then we have a centrifugal casting, investment casting, continuous casting, CO2 mold casting, and ceramic mold casting. Okay, so these are the some of the commonly used casting process. And out of them, regarding sand casting, we have talked earlier. Whatever that discussion that what we have done so far is most probably regarding to the sand casting process or sand molding process. In that one, we have to prepare the sand, and in that one, we have to uh, make the gating system. So sand casting, that what we have already discussed, and from now onwards we are going to discuss about some other casting process. So first process that we are going to discuss today, it is a cell mold casting. So cell molding is suitable for a thin walled article. Okay, so first we will understand that where and why it is applicable. So it is suitable for a thin wall article, and it consists of making a mold that has 2 or more thin cells, okay, which has a 2 or more thin cells like parts consisting of a thermosetting resin bonded sand. Okay, so here the sand, okay, which is thermosetting resin bonded sand, and silica sand is mixed with synthetic resin to form a mixture, and the mixture must be dry and free flowing. So here in this case, this one is the pattern. Okay, and in this case the pattern which we are using, it will be a metal pattern. Why? Because in this case, in a cell mold casting, we have to heat that pattern at certain temperature, and that's why the pattern we are using in this cell mold casting, it is a metal pattern. We cannot use a wood pattern, we cannot use plastic or wax pattern, because they are not capable to transfer the heat, or their shape may be changed, or the pattern may be destroyed when we heat it. That's why in cell mold casting we have to use a metal pattern. Okay, so it is one important thing. In this case we have to use a metal pattern. Now here the step is shown. In that first step we have this box. Okay, we have this box, and in that box we have sand, but that sand is mixed with a resin. The sand is mixed with a resin, and the sand and the resin mix in such a way that the sand will having a free flowing. So in first step what we'll do, in a box we will fill some sand which is mixed with a resin, and on that box we will put a pattern, and that pattern is heated to a certain temperature. After that, after that the pattern or the box is turned around. Okay, the box is completely turned around, so that the pattern, that hot pattern, that will come below, and all the sand which is here, which directly fall on the hot hot pattern or a heated pattern. And due to that heat, what happened, that resin that will be set. Okay, some portion of the resin that will be set because of the heat. So suppose this is the place, or this is the portion up to which your sand that will be, or the resin that will be set, resin and sand that will be set all over the surface of the pattern. And after that again we revolve it. So whatever the resin which is set on the surface of this pattern, that will remain as it is. Here as you can see, this black line means it is nothing but it is the resin and sand mixture which is set on the pattern, and still some resin and sand that will fall down. After that we take out the pattern from the box. Okay, we take out the pattern from the box, and whatever the cell which is generated over here, which is removed. Now this cell is put in a mold like this, and all around that, so these are the two half. One half which is over here, and again we will do the same procedure and we will make a second half. Okay, so this is the second half. So this is the one half, and second half that will be joined, or that will be put in a mold, and then all around that we will fill a sand. We will fill a sand, so that it will provide enough strength to the mold. And now here this is the hollow cavity. This is the hollow cavity, and in that hollow cavity we just fill the molten metal, and then after solidified we take out the component from the mold. So this is how this process occurs into the cell mold casting. So in this one, the metal pattern is heated about 157 to 350 degrees Celsius. Okay, so generally this resin has a curing temperature around this, and that's why it is not heated more like 800 and 1000 like this. Okay, it is heated up to certain within temperature, depends upon the resin synthesis. Okay, then the box and pattern are inverted for a short time. As we have seen that the box is inverted for a short time, some period of time. Then the mixture, when comes in contact with the hot pattern, it causes initial set and binds up a coherent sand. and that is next to the pattern, and generally it takes only 5 to 10 seconds. Okay, this in this position it will have to remain only 5 to 10 seconds, and the time is also depends upon the temperature, the resin that we are using, okay, the thickness what we require, okay, it may vary, but generally this is enough time. Then the thickness of the cell is around 6 to 8 mm. This is a 6 to 8 mm, and it depends on the pattern temperature, as I told, the pattern temperature, the time what we provide, and the sand mixture, what is the proportion of sand and what is the proportion of resin, and based on that we can decide. So generally it will be of 6 to 8 mm. Then again the box and the pattern is brought into this original position like this, as here this is the initial position. After that it is inverted. Now again it will be rotated, inverted, and again it will be taken into the initial position. Then the cell of the resin bonded sand is written on the pattern surface, as I told that the resin bonded cell that will be remain on the pattern. The cell on this pattern is cured by heating it in a oven around 250 to 350 degrees Celsius for a 1 to 3 minutes, and then we can easily remove that cell from the pattern. And after that the assembly is removed from oven, and then the cell is stripped out, okay, and in order to obtain clean stripping, a silicone parting agent may be sprayed on the pattern. Okay, so before we perform this process, here very thin layer of silicone parting agent is applied so that it will be easily released during this process. Okay, so during the release process it can be easily released, and that's why it may be applied. The cell hubs are assembled with clamp supports in a flask with a baking materials. Like baking material means here generally we use a sand, and then it is ready to pour. And in this case we are only generating the cell of the pattern, and that's why it is known as a cell mold casting. Okay, only outer cell which is prepared, while this whole remaining is filled by the sand. Okay, and that's why it is known as a cell mold casting. We are just generating the cell, outer cell of the hollow cavity, and this one is the hollow portion, and in that one we will fill the molten metal, and after solidification we can have a casting. So this is how this cell mold casting uh, takes place. This cell mold casting process has certain advantages, like it gives a very high surface finish as compared to the sand mold casting. The surface that we are getting having a highest degree of accuracy. Sand handling is minimum, as we know that here it require only some sand. It is in the loose form. Okay, the sand preparation is very easy as compared to that sand mold casting. Then permeability of the cell is high, hence gases escape readily through them. Okay, so this is the main advantage. The gas may be easily escaped, so that the trapping of the air and the bubble generation blowholes that may be easily eliminated by using this cell mold casting. Less floor area is required as compared to other casting process, and in this one we have a minimum casting defect. Okay, so these are the some of the advantages of the cell mold casting. Then the limitation is that the pattern equipment cost is more, because in this one we have to make a metal pattern, and when the metal pattern its manufacturing is uh, costlier, we have to use a resin, as a binder, so its cost will increase. The manufacturing of that pattern through the metal is also we require certain machining operation, so all the cost that will increase as compared to other casting process, and then not economical for fewer casting. When we have to make large number of casting, then and then it will be applicable, or it is economical. Otherwise, its cost is not going to be beneficial for that for a small production. Complicated jobs cannot be molded. So this is the major drawback. Simple and symmetrical shape, which is generally made by this cell mold casting. But when the complicated shape, there is some intricate shapes. In that case, uh, the cell mold casting, which is not providing a good job. Then weight and size of casting are limited. Only up to certain kg it is useful, and is the size of the casting is also limited. So these are the some of the drawback of the cell mold casting. Application: it is used where greater dimensional accuracy and smoother surface finish are required, as in a automobile casting. Okay, so in generally automobile crankshaft and all other automobile castings, which require a very close dimension tolerance, and it also require a good surface finish. In that case, we can use this cell mold casting, and also used for casting steel, iron, and non-ferrous materials. Okay, so it will be used in all kinds of ferrous as well as non-ferrous and uh, steel. Okay, so that's why it is applicable to many different kinds of material, but the limitation is that it will be only useful for a small intricate small shape, small size, and it will be only economical for a uh, when we have a large number of casting. So this is all about a cell mold casting. Then second, we are going to talk is about a pressure die casting. Pressure die casting. So in pressure die casting, molten metal is poured by pressure. Okay, molten metal is poured by pressure into a mold which is known as a die. So in this case, we are going to flow the molten metal into the die with some pressure, and that's why it is known as a pressure die casting. Yeah. Whatever we have learned so far in sand mold casting and cell mold casting, in both the case, the molten metal that will be flowing by only a gravitational force. No external force is applied for a flow of a molten metal. But here, the molten metal is pressurized by some external force to flow inside the hollow cavity, and that's why it is known as a pressure die casting. And because the metal solidified under the pressure, the casting conforms to the die cavity in shape and surface finish. So it is the advantage that it will give the confirmation that the cavity or the die cavity is completely filled by the molten metal, and the surface finish that you are getting, which is quite better as compared to other cases. The pressure is generally obtained with the help of a compressed air or hydraulics, okay, by using some hydraulics, and generally the pressure is varies from 70 to 5000 kg per centimeter square. And in die casting, pressure die casting, it is classified as a hot chamber die casting and cold chamber die casting. So these are the two category of this pressure die casting. Now, the pressure in the pressure die casting, generally the pattern or the hollow cavity or the die which is made by a metal. Why? Because in this one we are pouring the molten metal by pressure. So whatever the die, that should be able to take that pressure, and generally metal are strong enough to take the pressure, and that's why in this case whatever the die which is made up of a metal only. So in a cell mold casting as well as in a die casting, pressure die casting, we are using a metal. Okay, we are using a metal as a die. So in this case we have two types of castings, die casting, hot chamber die casting and cold chamber die casting. So we are going to discuss both in one by in sequential steps. Okay, now the principal difference between the two method is determined by the location of the melt. Now we are talking about this hot chamber and cold chamber die casting. Okay, so the difference, the main difference between the two methods, like in hot chamber and cold chamber, is by the location of the melting pot. This is important, melting pot, location of the melting point. In hot chamber casting, a melting pot is included within the machine. Okay, it is included within the machine. This is important thing. While in cold chamber die casting, it is separated. Okay, it is separated from the machine. In hot chamber die casting, the melting pot is within the machine, while in cold chamber die casting, the melting pot is separated from the machine, and that is the main difference. And here it includes within the machine, and injection cylinder is immersed in the molten metal all the time. And how it will be going to operate, that we are going to discuss in a subsequent slide. But here we are just talking about the difference between the hot chamber die casting and cold chamber die casting. The injection cylinder is operated either by hydraulic or air pressure, which forces the molten metal into the die to form a casting. Okay, so how this pressure is generated, or how the force is generated, by using this cylinder, injection cylinder, and that injection cylinder is operated by either a hydraulic or air pressure. While in a cold chamber die casting, again same, the injection cylinder which is hand or which is operated by a hand or a mechanical means. Okay, so this is the difference between hot chamber die casting and cold chamber die casting. So now first of all we are talking about this hot chamber die casting. So as you can see here in this diagram, this is the furnace or melting pot, which is a part of a machine. Okay, this is a whole machine and this is a part of the machine. Here we have this metal, and that metal is continuously converted into molten form by using this flame. Okay, the flame means the gas is burned over here, and due to that burning of the gas, large amount of heat is generated, and that heat is used to convert the metal into a liquid form. Now that liquid that will be go inside this gooseneck or this plunger in this cylinder, and in this cylinder, by using this plunger, the molten metal is pushed, and then by using this gooseneck, it will be goes inside this die cavity over here, and then in that die cavity the molten metal is cooled, and after solidification we just remove by opening the die. Okay, so this is how this molten hot chamber die casting process works. So in this method, molten metal is forced into the mold and pressure is maintained during the solidification either by plunger or by the compressed air. So as we know that as this plunger come down here, as the plunger will come down, whatever the molten metal that will be pushed here in this hollow cavity. The plunger acts inside a cylinder formed at one end of the gooseneck. Okay, so it will be this is the one end is gooseneck type casting submerged into the molten metal. Okay, so one end is over here, this is the gooseneck, and one another end which is submerged into that molten metal, and here we have a gap like this. Okay, and from this gap the as this plunger will move up, this molten metal that will flow inside this uh, cylinder, and again as the plunger move down, okay, this opening will be closed by using this plunger, and whatever the molten metal over here, that will be forced to go inside the hollow cavity. Near the top of the cylinder, for entry of the molten metal, the pot is provided. Okay, so here near the end of the cylinder, for entry of the molten metal, this pot, as I told earlier, this is the pot. Okay, and through that pot the molten metal is flow inside the cylinder. When the bottom of the plunger is above the pot, okay, so as you can see in this diagram, this bottom of the plunger, this is the bottom of the plunger which is above that pot, at that time the cylinder is connected to the melting pot through this pot. Okay, so from this one the molten metal that will be entering into the cylinder. Then the downward stroke of the plunger closes this pot. Okay, so as this plunger will move down, whatever the pot over here, that will be closed. So as your plunger will reach here like this, the supply of the molten metal that will be cut off, and this applies pressure on the molten present into the gooseneck. Okay, so whatever the molten metal over here, okay, it will be pressurized due to the plunger, and it will be forced into the die cavity through the injection nozzle. Okay, so through that injecting nozzle, uh, it will be forced to go inside the hollow cavity, and after some time the plunger is raised up. Okay, so after some time again the plunger is raised up, causing the remaining molten metal in the nozzle and channel to fall back into the casting. Okay, so whatever the remaining molten metal, that will again fall down here, and before the end of upward stroke the plunger uncover the pot. Okay, okay, again it will reach up to here, and again this pot will be uncovered, and through which more amount of molten metal that will be enter into the cylinder. So again some molten metal that will be enter into the cylinder, and then again the same procedure is repeated. Then the dies are opened and casting is ejected. Okay, so now what we have here is the finished casting, so that casting is to be removed. So for that one, this is the flex block and this is the movable block. So the movable block will go in this direction, so that both this part, this first half and this second half of the die, that will be separated, and this casting that will be taken out, and again that movable part that will be taken into contact with the fixed die. So again we have a hollow cavity here. Now again the plunger will move down, the molten metal that will be forced to go inside the hollow cavity, again it will be solidified, and then it will be taken out. So this process is continuously done to get a casting, and these machines are generally used for producing casting of low melting point metals like zinc, tin and lead. Why? Because it will be the furnace that is a part of a machine itself, and we cannot heat that so high temperature, and that's why generally we use the hot chamber die casting for materials or metals which have a low melting point, so that it is easy to handle the furnace inside the uh, uh, machine itself, and that's why this is used in a this is used to make the casting from the metals like zinc, tin, and lead. Okay, so I think this is enough for today. When we will meet in next lecture, we will see the cold chamber die casting, as well as we will discuss some other casting process.